When I was in high school, I won a writing competition for a short story I wrote called Escape. And it was basically about two young women, one a black West African immigrant and the other white from the Deep South, who, on their respective journeys, both ended up in Chicago, the latter with her own misconceptions and preconceived notions of what it would be like there. Of course, issues of race and how they differ or don't outside of the southern US are at the center of the story. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, no, y'all cannot read it. It was my first time writing fiction, and while it obviously went fairly well, I would definitely take a bit of a different approach on that topic now, which is understandable because I was like 15. But the point I was really getting at is something that I hadn't realized that I'd already heard on a much larger scale in pop culture. The Second Great Migration saw an additional wave of millions of Black Southerners relocate to the northern, Midwestern, and Western United States. Because of the atrocities of slavery and the lengths the Confederacy was willing to go to preserve it, the racism that permeated other parts of the United States was often minimized, with the idea that any such racism paled in comparison to what was happening in the South. This sentiment, combined with the legislative, political, and social strides Black people made during the Civil Rights Movement, led to the perception of racial progress being further along than it actually was after the Civil Rights Movement, all while the remnants of racial discrimination started to take new forms in the coming years. And that's what's kind of at the crux of Stevie Wonder's songs Visions and Living for the City, which appeared consecutively on his 1973 album Innervisions. Visions pulls back the curtain on this misconception, referencing how, despite there still being a lack of concrete safeguards for many types of discrimination, some people were of the mind that their work was done. He asks, have we really gone this far through space and time, or is this a vision in my mind? He doesn't just stop at questioning the progress we've made, he demonstrates the issue as well. The full length version of Living for the City features a skit midway through the song and tells the story of a black man from Mississippi whose family struggles to do the best they can in the face of extreme poverty. Jaded by his inability to find work due to racism, he takes the bus up to New York City where he hopes to have better luck. Upon arriving, he's immediately framed for a crime and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Stevie's political commentary on this track in particular is what I would call grounded. It's wholly tethered to the realities of being Black in America during this time. It made use of the ambient sounds from the city streets, which made it feel palpable and relatable. And Living for the City was released on the heels of the Second Great Migration and spoke directly to how, upon relocation, Black people were often met with racism that was just in a different form than what they had been accustomed to. At the time that I wrote that short story in high school, I had already heard this song just about a million times. Its impact on popular culture and political commentary and music is simply undeniable. And it wasn't until many years of knowing it that its true vitality and meaning revealed itself to me. But today is a special day because it marks the 50-year anniversary of the release of Innervisions. And this time, I won't wait another few years to talk about how significant this music is. This is a 50-year retrospective of Innervisions. In my video on Talking Book from a few months ago, I spoke on the emerging political consciousness of Stevie Wonder. Superstition and Big Brother offered a sobering, if brief, respite from a track list full of vulnerability and love songs, but the presence of social commentary in his music grew considerably over the 10 months between Talking Book and Innervision. His appraisals of political and social issues became more detailed and frequent, with Richard Nixon's presidency becoming a particular point of indignation for him. According to Malcolm Cecil, his longtime collaborator, who would often read him books on politics and history, upon telling Stevie that Nixon had removed the US from the gold standard, effectively making all American currency inexchangeable for gold, Stevie wrote his first, but not only, presidential diss track, as I like to call it. He's Mr. Know It All opens with, he's a man with a plan, got a counterfeit dollar in his hand, and goes on to describe an all around sleazy con man and his means of deception, And with the Watergate scandal ramping up at the time, the shoe was fitting Nixon pretty nicely. Something else that was on the rise during this time was recreational drug use, mainly marijuana, heroin, and hallucinogens. While drug use was still taboo and not nearly as common as it would come to be in the coming decades, high profile drug related deaths like those of Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix highlighted substance abuse as a growing problem. Too High focuses on these dangerous consequences of drug use when it discusses a woman who had been having wild hallucinations eventually passing away, while Jesus Children of America takes the approach of appealing to the listener's moral compass by encouraging them to reflect on whether their actions are representative of the things they claim to value. The music is understated, and the song comes across as more of a concerned plea rather than a preachy admonishment, which I gotta say is really hard to do with lyrics like these. But as we know, Stevie Wonder is an extremely gifted songwriter, and I think he further demonstrates that with his love songs on Innervisions. I consider love to be a consistent theme in his music, and it's hard for me to think of a songwriter who can convey the concept quite as thoroughly as Stevie can. I previously touched on how the feeling of love takes different shapes throughout Talking Book, and I feel like what we get from him in terms of love songs on Innervisions is a sort of evolution. He's conveying a wider range of love here, which is a sort of surprising observation for me because there are so many phenomenal love songs on Talking Book alone, not to mention his previous albums. And yet, the three love songs that are on Innervision still add something new to the conversation. And that's why I say he's thorough when writing about love, because he really leaves no stone unturned when it comes to expressing the most minute emotions that one feels. I feel like Golden Lady carries over that pleasant, hopeful character that shows up on his previous album. But I see the most growth in Don't You Worry About a Thing, where he exudes his flirtation and playfulness with a hint of humor and All in Love is Fair. Something I noticed when listening to Stevie's pre Innervisions breakup songs was the presence of optimism. Even in the face of heartbreak, he always seemed to be looking ahead toward happiness, even if it was accompanied by denial. But this wavers a bit in All in Love is Fair because there are times when it's just seeping with anguish, and it's just one of those songs that's guaranteed to put me on my ass when I'm in my feelings. We see him grapple with the unpredictability of falling in love and his own regret, but ultimately he lands in a space of acceptance that is very matter of fact about the reality that sometimes all that shit is just par for the course. The one song that may be noticeably missing from this video so far is the album's lead single, Higher Ground. Its opening clavinet line makes it one of the most instantly recognizable Stevie Wonder songs, but it's seen as an important part of his catalog for another reason as well. On August 6, 1973, just 3 days after Innervisions was released, Stevie Wonder got into a nearly fatal car accident that left him in a coma for 10 days. He temporarily lost his sense of smell and suffered a severe brain contusion, and it took him about a year to fully recover. The lyrics to Higher Ground, which seemingly describe him getting a second chance at life to live in his purpose, are frequently referenced in connection to the accident. I'm so darn glad he let me try it again, because my last time on earth I lived a whole world of sin. I'm so glad that I know more than I knew then. Gonna keep on trying till I reach my highest ground. Stevie himself acknowledged that he believed destiny played a part in the situation, stating to the New York Times, I wrote Higher Ground even before the accident, but something must have been telling me that something was going to happen to make me aware of a lot of things and to get myself together. This is like my second chance for life to do something or to do more, and to value the fact that I am alive. When he first regained consciousness after the accident, those close to him said that he was afraid he had lost his ability to create music. Fortunately, that wasn't the case, and he would go on to make some of his best and most impactful work both in and out of the studio, truly making the most of his second shot at life. Innervisions is just one part of his incredible legacy, but I hope you spend some time with it today or whenever you can. When you do, let me know what you think about the album in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. These are my social media handles. If you like that video, you can subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so you get a notification every time I get off my butt and post a video. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time.